Hi guys, are you able to hear my voice? Okay. Yeah, fine. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Okay, fine. In our previous session, we have learned about this all what I can say. So these arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction. So these are all the things we have completed. So let's move on to the other concepts. Yeah, we are doing nothing in the Visual Studio Code, right? Yeah. So let's move on to another concept, that is primitive types and the reference types. So what are these primitive types and what is the meaning of these reference types? So what are these primitive types and what is the meaning of these reference types in JavaScript? So in JavaScript, we have learned the different types of data types. We have learned something like number, string, boolean, undefined, and what I can say, array, object. So these are all the different types of we have seen in the JavaScript. So you don't have any integer, float concept. These are all the things we don't have in this JavaScript. Now, so these all data types, actually it is divided into either one of the category. Actually in JavaScript we have two types of categories, that is nothing but primitive data types and reference data types. So primitive data types and reference data types. So these are the two different data types we'll be having. Categories, not data types. These are not category data types. These are categories, category of data types. So either one of these data type, so either it may be a number, string, boolean. So either if you take any of the data type, it will come under this any one of the category. So that means you should know that number comes. So you say number is a data type, it comes under primitive data type. So it is under the primitive data type. String is a data type, it comes under primitive data type. Array is a data type. Array is not a data type actually. Object is a data type, and it comes under reference data types. Okay, so now you need to understand that why these comes under the category of either primitive or the reference. Why can't this string become a reference data type? So let's try to learn basic things. What is a primitive data type and what is a reference data type? So because of why these data types has come under this primitive data types or reference data types under this category, let's try to understand it. So I will try to open this paint. I will explain your concept. So you have understood about this one. Now let's try to open. So first one is a primitive data type. You need to understand primitive data type. Gone, I think. 1 second. Don't want to complex it. So let's take it as something like pencil or anything. So let's take it as primitive. Okay, I will write it like this only. So let's take it as primitive. So primitive data types means we know that integers, numbers and all those things comes under the primitive data types. So let's say how we can declare a data type. So where a is equal to 5. So this is the primitive data type. Okay, so let's try to do the console.log of a. So I am doing this one and let's try to run it. We are able to get the 5 as an output. Now internally what the JavaScript does is it will know that this is a primitive data type. For this primitive data type, so let's say that this is a memory. Okay, let's say that this is a memory in the browser. So JavaScript works in the browser, right? So it is in the memory. Now whenever we initialized where a is equal to 5, so we have initialized where a is equal to 5. Now it will allocate a memory, okay, and this is the a memory, so a variable memory, and it will store the value of 5 inside this one. That's it. Now I will try to do where b is equal to 6. Okay, so now what it will try to do is, so it will allocate a new memory location, and it will have this one b value, variable name, and it will have a value of 6. Okay, so this is the thing. Oh, sorry, I'm opening this one. So here we have did where b is equal to 6. So now we are having console.log a console. Now what I will try to do is, I will try to do b is equal to b plus 10 or something like this. So that means 6 plus 10. So if we try to see the output, now if we try to see the output, so you are able to get the 16. So 6 plus 10, 16. Now what is happening inside this one is, b is equal to 6. Now we have did b is equal to b plus 10. So this is the logic we have applied. Now when we applied this one, so b has value has been updated to 16. Immediately this 6 will be removed off, and it will assign 16 here. Okay, in the same memory location. So it will update the value to the 16. So now if we try to print the a value, it is 5. If it is try to do the b value, it is 16. So this is pretty straightforward. Now let's try to take another type. So just say same primitive only, we are learning to write primitive. So this is a memory location. Let's say that memory location. Now I will try to change somewhat code here. Instead of having this one, so where a is equal to 5 I am having, and I will try to declare a new variable, and I will assign the a value inside this one. So that means now b is also 5 only. So I will try to do console.log a and console.log of b. Now this is the output. Now if I try to see the output, 5 5, so we are able to see it. Why? Because the a value is having 5, and a value it has been assigned to the b variable. Now in the memory location, so we have where a is equal to 5. Now a memory location has been created with a and 5 value. Now we did as where b is equal to 5, where b is equal to a. Now as these are primitive data types, okay, in number and all those things, now b is equal to a means immediately a new memory location will be created, and this entire data will be copied into here, okay, as 5, and this new memory location will be assigned a b value. Now that means these both values are same only, but these both are different to each other. Now if I try to do a is equal to a plus 5, okay, a plus 5 means a will be updated to 5 plus 5 10. So here it will be updated to 10, whereas b remains 5 only. So let's try to see the output here, or otherwise I will explain you. So whereas a is equal to a plus 5 means, so a is equal to 10, it will update to here. Now if I try to do b is equal to a plus 10 or something like this, okay, so it will take the a value something like 10 value, and it will update plus 10 means 10 plus 10 it will happen, and it will update to 20. So now the 20 value will update it here. Okay, so that means so each a variable and b variable are separate to each other. So whatever the calculations you do it for it one, here if you assign this b is equal to a also, separate memory location will be assigned to b in a such a way that b is independent to a. Whenever you are doing arithmetic calculations to this one, so a will have its own value and b will be calculated with its own value. So there is no overlapping of these values. So this is called as primitive data types, which we expect it normally. So whenever you are declaring a variable, so you will be having a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10. So it will assign the separate memory location to each variable. So this is the primitive data types, and this comes under what are the things we can say is numbers, string, boolean. So these all comes under the primitive data types only. So which they make a own copy of their own variable. Okay, so their variables will have its own copy. So they doesn't share the copy between those variables. They have its own copy. So this is the primitive data types. Now let's try to see the reference data types. So now we want to see the reference data types. So what are these types of reference data types? So reference data types, I told you, is an array object. These all comes under the reference data types. And regular expressions, these things, regular expression also comes. These three only it will come. So let's try to take it as a simple example. I have a variable, something like where a is equal to, it's an array 1 comma 2 comma 3. I am having an array. Okay. Now what will happen here is, so whenever you assign an array to this variable, so in the JavaScript memory location, so here this is a memory location in JavaScript memory. So not JavaScript memory, actually in the browser memory, you can think it as. So you will have a location here. Okay, this entire data. Okay, this entire data will be stored in one place. So here it will be stored in one place. And the pointer of this one. So the pointer. So will be stored in a separate memory location. Okay, the pointer. And this pointer will be assigned a value. Okay, so like this. So the memory location is only one place. The pointer it is taken and the pointer will be assigned in another memory location, and this variable is given as a name. Okay. Now let's say that where b is equal to, so 2 3 4 means 2 3 4 something like this. So if you're same thing, so memory location, you will have a memory location, and here if you try to take the memory location, so array will be assigned in another place, something like 3 comma 4, whatever the array variable b is having, values b is having, and this pointer is taken to another memory location. A new memory location will be created, and here it contains the pointer that holds the value of this one. So this is a pointer, and this one is assigned a b value. Okay, so this is normally it happens in the array or object. Object also the same thing. So this is how it will hold the value. Now let's try to see what happens if it happens like this. So now I have a code in such a way that I am having where a is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3. So that means a memory location has been assigned to this 1 comma 2 comma 3, and the pointer of this memory location will be assigned to the a. Not the values, it will be assigned the pointer. Now what I am trying to do is, where I am creating a new variable b, I am assigning it to the a. Now what is happening? The values are not copied, the pointer location. So a is holding the pointer location, not the values of this 1 2 3. The pointer location will be handed over to the b. So that means the visualization, how it will look like is, in the memory, so you have a values 1 comma 2 comma 3 here somewhere. 1 comma 2 comma 3 array will be created, and here this pointer will be assigned to a. So you will have this pointer. Okay, and b is equal to a. So that means the same pointer, this same pointer will be assigned to the pointer, will be assigned to the b. Why? Because b is holding only the pointer, not the values. Now this pointer is nothing but it is holding this value. Okay, the same pointer is holding this value, so that is the reason we are having the pointer. Okay, now what I will try to do is, I will try to do a dot push. So I am pushing the values to this one, a dot push of 4 value. So that means what I have did, I have updated the array value 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. So the updated array value is 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Now what it will happen in the memory location is, so now I am pushing the the value 4 into the a variable. Now where is this pointer is located? It is located here. So this one will be updated to the 4. Now when I am trying to print this console.log b, so I am trying to print this console.log of b. So what I am trying to build, so I am trying to print the array of the b values. Now b, what are the values it is holding? It is actually holding these values only. Now it will update that one to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. It will give you the 4 value. Why? This is the output, you will get it. But we haven't did anything to the b array. So we have pushed the value to the a only. So that means A should have 1, 2, 3, 4, but B should have 1, 2, 3 only. But this does not happen in the JavaScript. So both the values share the same memory location. So A and B value, both the things will be same only. So this is called as reference data types. So that means the reference will be stored in the array instead of actually the copy of these values. So why this one will happens in the JavaScript is, as the browser memory is very limited. Okay, browser memory is very limited. So you know that Chrome browser memory or any browser memory is very limited. So these are the something like complex data structures. So complex data types. So these complex data types, we cannot maintain a copy of this one for array variable and also a B variable. So now we are taking a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. But real time you will have a big array or big object you will be having, holding the complete employee details or complete something like organization details. So it consists of lot of details you will be having. let's say that array is having holding a value of values of around 10,000 values. Okay, so this array is very big, so memory location it will take more. So because of that reason, so it will take only in one memory location, and the pointers will be assigned to this value, to this variables wherever you are trying to copy it. So trying to maintain it as the memory thing. So because of the memory thing, so we reference data types handles like this. So in order to overcome the memory leakage, so this is the reference data types. So now you understood about this primitive data types and reference data types. Now, so let's see that again. Primitive data types holds the value, holds the copy in a separate memory location. So whenever you try to assign it, so a separate memory location, a copy will be created for each one. But whereas in the reference data types, whenever you create a value, whenever you create a variable, so values will be stored in some place, and the reference pointer will be stored in the variable, not the actual values. So only the reference pointer will be saved. So whenever you assign A is equal to B or something like that, means the pointer will be assigned to that B variable, so that it will actually both the variables will hold the same values, will reference to the same values. That is the difference between primitive and the reference data types. So let's try to see the practical implementation of this one so that you will understand clearly. So here we have this one, right? So now you understood. So A is equal to 5, B is equal to A. Now when I am trying to do the console.log, A is plus and B is. So this is how we will be doing the string concatenation. So as you are already aware of this one. So plus will act for integer something like addition. So we have already seen that one. Now let's try to see the output. So A is 5 and B is 5. So as we already understood about this one. Now what I want to do is, I want to update A is equal to A plus 10 and B is equal to B plus 1. Okay. Now what is the output? So A is holding the value of 5 plus 10. Let's try to print it at the top and let's try to print it at the bottom. After the operation, before the operations. So now what I am trying to do is 5 plus 10, that is 15, and B is equal to A is there. So that means B is also holding the value 5, and I am doing 5 plus 1, that is 6. So now here A value is 15 and B value is 5 plus 1, 6. So it should have the value something like this. And here it should be 5 comma 5. So there is the same thing. Why? Because A and B are holding the same values. And here the arithmetic operations has been operated. And now it will have its own set of copy of values. Now if we try to see the output, see whatever the output we have seen it. So it is not sharing the same memory location. So each is having its own copy. So A is not dependent on the B or B is not dependent on A. Each have its own copy. So you should not, there is no need of confusion or anything. So you should not bother about this sharing and all those things. So this is all about these primitive data types. So now let's try to see the reference data types, how it will behave. Let's say that I have an array 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is an array. Let's do the console.log of A. Now you'll get able to get the value 1, 2, 3. Okay, you got an array 1, 2, 3 as an output. Now what I will try to do is where B is equal to A. Now I am assigning the value into the B. So let's try to print the value console.log of B is plus B. Now we are able to see B is also having the values 1, 2, 3. Fine. So it's fine. Now let's try to do something like a dot push of 4. Now let's try to print the values A and B. Now the output, what it will happen. So we are pushing the value to the 4, not to the B. But A and B are sharing the same memory location. A and B will be saving the same memory location. Now what will happen is, now when you push the value into the A, automatically the B also will be get updated. Now here the expected output, so if it is a primitive means it should be something like 1, 2, 3, and here it should be something like 1, 2, 3, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here it should be something like 1, 2, 3. So this is the expected behavior. So what we are trying to see. Now let's try to see what could be the output. So if you try to see here, A is updated to 1, 2, 3, 4, and B is also having 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the reference data type. So now you need to understand that whenever you are trying to update the variable, update the value of the reference data types, means you need to do that. You need to understand that whoever is having the same reference for this one will also get updated. So this is the main thing. So it will do the same memory location. Now let's say that I have did something like A comma B comma C, or otherwise let's say that I have applied yeah, okay. So now I have did it like this. So now what I did, A is equal to 1, 2, 3, and B is equal to A you are having. So you will be able to see 1, 2. So this is the same output you will be say. Now A I have updated it to A comma B comma C. Now what could be the output of B? So whether it will be A comma B comma C or 1, 2, 3. Let's try to see it. So if we try to see here, see the A value has been updated to A comma B comma C, and B is updated to C. Sorry, the B is still 1, 2, 3 only. So why this is happening is it's pretty straightforward only. So I will tell you again. So what is the code that we have written it? Let's try to show you. As you already understood about this one, just I will try to explain you. So here, this is the memory location. So this is the memory location, and here we are having 1, 2, 3 values, and 1, 2, 3 is saved in separate place, something like 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this one is the reference pointer will be assigned to the A. So what I did, B is equal to A. Okay, so the same reference pointer will be shared to the B only. A will copied into B, but the A has a pointer, same pointer. B has also something like this, so it is pointing to this one. So fine. Now suddenly what I did was A is equal to something like A comma B comma C. So I assigned it here. So now the A is equal to, so you have assigned a separate new array. So that means in the memory location, what it will try to do is, again it will try to create a new one, A comma B comma C, and this one the pointer will be updated to the A, whereas the B pointer still it is pointing it to the array that is having 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this the reference pointer has been removed, which is having to this B thing. So it has been removed, and new memory location for this A comma B comma C has been created, and this reference pointer is came to A. Now so A is pointing to this different memory location, and B is pointing to this memory location which is previous one only. So that is the thing, that is the code we have written. So I have created a new array, I have initialized a new array, and it is and I assigned it to the A. So that means new array initialized means new memory location will be initialized, and this pointer will get updated to this pointer. Now when I try to do this B is equal to B means, so still it will be 1, 2, 3 only, but A has a new thing, something like B comma C. So now if I try to do B dot push of 5 or something like this, now if you try to see, so B has its own memory thing, so 1, 2, 3, 5, and ABC it will remain like this only, A only. So this is all about this reference data types and the primitive data types. So why we use these reference data types, why these arrays and objects follow these reference data types is because of the because of the what I can say, why this reference data type, so I already told you, right? Because of the memory leakage. Because of the memory leakage. So the browser, because of this memory leakage, so the browser cannot handle more memory, which has the browser has only limited memory, right? So memory, because of to overcome this memory leakage, so these complex data types will follow this type of functionality. So this is all about this primitive data types and the reference data types. So this is very important concept in the JavaScript. So you need to understand that the way of storing the variables in the JavaScript. So any data type, if you take any data type, that comes under either a primitive or the reference. That means nothing but the way of storing of data. So the way of storing of data is two types in the JavaScript. That is nothing but primitive and the reference. So if any data type, if you take it, means, so you need to understand that whether it is a primitive or reference. If it is a primitive, means you understood the flow. So directly anything, the copy will be made by the memory in the memory location. Whereas the reference means, so the pointers will be there. So reference or pointer, whatever you maybe call, you can call it by the name. Reference pointer will be shared between those things. So this is all about this, what I can say, primitive and reference data types. So do you have any doubts in this one, primitive and reference data types? Do you people able to understand? So fine. So I can close one. Let's go on to this. So this is all difference between this primitive and reference data types. Let's go to another topic. So in JavaScript, so we understood the way of storing data in the variables. So I will explain you about the another concept, that is nothing but the scope, the variable scope. So what is the scope of the variable? So in JavaScript we have three different types of scope. So one is the global scope and another one is the local scope. So we have another scope also, nothing but a block scope. So that is not in the basic JavaScript. So that comes under the advanced JavaScript. Not advanced JavaScript, that is a new version of the JavaScript. Okay. So let's try to learn about the scopes which follows by all the browsers. So any browser you take, so these two scopes are followed by this any type of browsers. So we'll learn afterwards about the block scope. Afterwards, after learning all the concepts available in all the browsers, then afterwards we'll learn the features which are available only limited browsers. So now global scope versus so global scope and the local scope. For example, let's say that we have variable where a is equal to 5. Okay, let's try to do this console.log of a. Simple. So now we are able to get the 5 output. Okay, now I will try to do something like function of get name or something like this. I have a function. Okay, now I will try to do the console.log of a. Now what will happen? What will be the output for this one? So if you try to do it, you are getting only the 5. Okay, so this is the console you are having, right? So just try to call this method. So I am calling this get name method. Now what could be the output of a? So a we are able to get the output as 5 in the function also. So that means this variable a is declared outside. So this variable a we can access it in the function also. In the functional scope also we can able to access it. So that means this is called as a global scope. So this will be available everywhere in this file, in this particular file only. So if you create a new file and if you want to access a variable, means you cannot do it. So that is another thing. That is another concept I will tell you. So you have accessed this one. So this is the global scope. Okay, so this is a variable. Now you understood. So now this variable will be accessed anywhere. So anywhere if you want to access it, this one will be stored in the global variable. Now another thing what I want to explain you is the local scope. For example, let's say that I have assigned here where a is equal to 10. Now I am doing console.log of a. So now what will be the output of this console.log of a, and inside this function scope console.log of a. So now here you will be able to see first 5 has been printed. So that is nothing but a, it is there, and here you are having a get name and 10 is printed. So that means what I am trying to do, I have created here global scope, and here we are having a function, and in this one, so a variable has been again created with the name 10, with the value of 10, and again we are consoling.log of a, so we are able to get the 10 output. So for example, let's say that we are giving it as a here at the top. Okay, now instead of printing 5 first, so 5 has been initialized as a global scope. Now we are initializing the a as a 10, and we are consoling.log of 10. So that means a has been updated to 10. Let's see that what is the value of this a. So a should be 10 or 5. Let's try to see. So now if we try to see here, so first it has printed the value of 10. So that is nothing but 10 here. Again the value has been printed as 5. So that means this a is called as a local scope or functional scope also, you can say it. So whatever the name you want, you can say it as functional scope also. Now this one is available in the global scope, but whereas in the function scope, okay, so whatever the variable you are mentioning in this functional scope, so this variable will be available in this function only. So it will be not available outside the function. Let's say that I have removed this a variable. So that means there is no global scope variable with the name a, and you are having a function with where a is equal to 10. Okay, now what I am trying to do, I am trying to call the get name, and I am trying to do this console.log of a. If we try to see here, so 10 has been printed. Why? Because so we have accessed this one. Now if you try to see here, it is telling that reference error. So I cannot reference this one. Reference, now you will be able to understand, right? Reference thing. So it is trying to reference the memory location, but it is unable to reference it. It is telling that a is not defined. So what it is trying is, so a is not assigned any memory location, any reference memory location inside the JavaScript memory. So now why? Because so here it was assigned locally only. So that means this variable will be available only to this function. If you come outside the function, that variable will not be available. For example, let's say that I haven't used the var a here. Okay, now I'll try to run it. So what will happen here? Now we'll get the output 10. So what is happening here? So we have learned about the variable hoisting, right? So variable hoisting, so thing what it will happen, what it will try to do it, the function, the JavaScript parser first tries to read all the statements available in the JavaScript file. Whatever the variables that are not declared, it will try to hoist those variables at the top. Something like initialize the declare the variables like this. It will try to declare. Why? Because a has been assigned with a var. So now it will declare it as a var a. Now what it has become, var a means it has become a global scope again. So now it has become a global scope. Now you have assigned a global scope value to the 10. Now you are trying to print it 10. You are able to see it. So this is the thing. So when you use this use strict, so what will happen? So I have used